Story 1. I'd live in it. I always see those movies where the guys live in the warehouse with their cars and bikes parked inside and always thought that's pretty cool. Heating and cooling it would be expensive though. Maybe make a small room to sleep in that's temperature controlled. Story 2. Would I be responsible for the heating, air conditioning, water, electricity, and property taxes? What is the location? Is it near me or on the other side of the country? Is it in my country? What is it zoned for? Story 3. 10 years ago, I would have said paintball or laser tag. Now, I'm leaning towards augmented reality. It was doing well in Tampa, and I'm visiting one in January where I live now. Story 4. Hire a German team of engineers to dig a deep hole in order to build a laboratory that could be used for laboratory purposes and then solicit laundry contracts from every business in the area for my laundry operation. Maybe buy some car wash locations afterward. Story 5. Someone else mentioned recreational vehicle storage, but I would go one step further. Indoor recreational vehicle or camper campground. Build showers and bathrooms. Have some picnic benches for people to eat. Security cameras everywhere. Key code to get in. I would make a killing given the size and the fact that my imaginary warehouse will be in the middle of New York City. Story 6. Buy broken cars, fix them up, and sell them to buy nicer cars. Store nicer cars and my buddy's cars there. The warehouse makes a nice workshop and car storage. Story 7. I would make a skate park, dance club, art house, bar, or coffee concert hall joint. It would run from 9 a.m. for coffee and art and convert to a live house throughout the day, with bands starting around 6 p.m. while people skate and dance. And it would close at midnight. And I am sure the government would not allow a license for any of this. Story 8. Turn it into an indoor skate park. Build some ramps and some rails. Let the kids do some impressive nose grinds. Maybe learn how to ollie myself and hopefully not break a hip. Story 9. Rent it out? That does not count as being sold, and I am using it to generate revenue while technically supporting someone else's business. I believe this would meet the above requirements. Story 10. Real-life practicality suspended. An indoor snowboard park for me and those I specifically allow. If it actually happened, section off a portion to create a house within it to live in. Use the remaining indoor space as a large garage area, a year-round indoor garden, and possibly a basketball court. Story 11. If I had the money, I would build a temperature and humidity-modified regional greenhouse for each growing zone. Then, I would construct an entire compound on top of it with translucent floors and ceilings for non-bathroom and non-bedroom areas. This way, I could look down on beautiful gardens from around the world and grab any fruit I want whenever. Story 12. I don't know where it is located, but if it is anywhere near a reasonably populated area, you could turn it into an indoor mini-storage unit building and make a killing. My mom rents at a place that was a boat dealer showroom and converted into such a place. The ample outdoor parking is used for boat, trailer, and recreational vehicle parking. There is a small office, but someone is there only a few hours a week. I don't know if it qualifies as climate controlled, but being indoors, it commands a premium over any outdoor units. Story 13. House. My dream is to turn a warehouse or big shed into a living area. I get a mezzanine that is basically a big indoor balcony, and I'd want to build a commercial kitchen in a storage container because I like cooking. It would be cool, as well as having a garage area with 2 hoists. I just need to become rich or something to afford all of it. Story 14. I would section off a part for a personal wood shop and have the remaining be a wood shop, mill, and kilns that people can use with a membership. Wood shop, $50 per month. Mill, $50 per month. Kiln racks would be priced per footage of lumber. Story 15. I would get a loan and turn the single-story inside into a 2-story storage facility. Essentially, it doubles the square footage. Add in 4 elevators and sets of stairs, then partition off into 50 square feet, 100 square feet, 150 square feet, and 200 square feet rooms. I could probably build it out for $2 million between updating the electrical and changing the framing. But a rough guess at full or near full rental, I could get $150,000 per month in rentals. Story 16. Free housing for the homeless. A nonprofit organization can run it if that makes the most sense. assuming the best situation. The world has too many empty buildings and too many people without a roof. Story 17. Line each side with empty shipping containers and rent them out as little apartments to seniors. The center area would be a common area for all to use. Story 18. Do they give me a lot of cash to start a business too? If so, I will build an indoor wave park that, for the first year, will only be open to me and my friends. Story 19. Import sea containers of secondhand Japanese goods and start a Japanese thrift warehouse in my city. Specialize video games to friends who operate video game trader. Story 20. Lease it out for logistics use. It's what they do with old aircraft hangars. Maybe keep a few thousand square feet for a mythic level guy cave, bed and shower plus room for a motorcycle, airplane, and jeep, etc. Story 21. Aliens are hoarders too, and need a place to store some of those laminated cow pies and knickknacks they pick up all over the world, plus some UFO spare parts. Story 22. Petition the city to build an airport nearby and use it as a hangar. Offer to lease it to the military for things where important people are in charge. Build it into a giant mansion. Make it into a movie studio, a self-storage facility. Make it into a giant holiday warehouse that's open for every holiday. Factory outlet warehouse. Lots of options. Story 23. Indoor soccer or football practice facility. Would love to have a place where my kids and their friends could practice without worrying about the weather. I would be out there throwing and kicking the ball too. If I ever won a major lottery, I would do this. Story 24. I would use it as the space for my print farm. That is, three-dimensional printing. I would be getting some big printers to fill out some of the space, and the rest is for the models and such. I would be making shelves and the like. Just for fun, you know. I feel like that would be a great use for space, plus it might be enough to start making some real content with cameras and such. I could really start my content creation career. Story 25. You have to give me a little more to go on. Where is it? What is it zoned for? Is it haunted? Does it have indoor plumbing? Are dogs allowed? Regardless, I would probably convert it to a music venue, and I would tell Ticketmaster to kiss my lily white ass. Story 26. What are the dimensions? Is it 100 feet by 500 feet and how tall? Is it heated and cooled? What kind of power is run to the building? How many doors and what size? There are just too many questions to really form a good answer. Story 27. Rent it to my county for conversion and use as another shelter for unhoused people. Our county happens to be looking for a decently sized space, and while 50,000 square feet isn't enormous, it's bigger than the current overflow shelter. They are currently having a very specific problem, but the fact that I cannot sell my warehouse nicely eliminates the problem in this case. Story 28. Entirely depends on the I cannot sell rule and where it is located in the city and if I can use it for whatever. I'll build a bunch of rooms, offices, and shop bays. Story 29. Congratulations, I'm a landlord. In the spirit of the game, I'm sure I'd invest in a few go-karts or golf carts and do silly stuff. Let bands practice here. Invite people in the know to hang out and drink beers. Definitely 2 portable basketball hoops. Story 30. Oh my, that's a freaking dream. I'd section part of it off with a dividing wall to run some kind of event space I could rent out or create some kind of animal rescue and shelter. I am a photographer, so I would go crazy designing and putting together a photography studio, which requires no walls at all, just open space and high ceilings. I would live in the other half. That is actually my current dream, to own such a warehouse. Story 31. Build an apartment in one corner of it and use the rest for whatever random projects or hobbies I come up with. Photo studio in one section, recording studio in another, art studio in another, maybe auto or bike repair in another. Story 32. What are my monthly expenses for light, heat, garbage, sewer, and water? My maintenance expenses for heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, building interior and exterior, and property and inheritance taxes. Is this warehouse in a desirable location, close to main highways or truck stops? How many bays do I have for freight? Those answers will depend on what my response will be. The worst case scenario is I rent the space out to a manufacturer and make them responsible for all but building upkeep. Or rent to a merchandiser who needs storage, or get into the car and recreational vehicle storage business. The best case scenario: community kitchen, center with basketball courts, track, and things for kids to do, crisis center and family shelter that allows pets, kitchen space to rent out for influencers that don't want to use their home kitchen, and a local resource center for those who are experiencing hardship. Story 33. Sweatshop, obviously. 50,000 square feet should easily house 25,000 workers. Give them a few cents an hour to make fine clothing that I'll sell for millions. Nothing could go wrong. Story 34. Question. For these situations, let's say I use it to house my doll collection or something for a year or two, and then try to sell the warehouse. Who is going to stop me? Story 35. Sell it anyway. Annoying relative trying to involve me. This is America, not Downton Abbey. Rule against perpetuities means I can do whatever I want with my warehouse. Story 36. Just rent it out. That's what I would do with it anyway, regardless of not being allowed to sell it, unless it's in some rundown area that no one wants to rent in. Story 37. I would turn it into an event space like a Fair of the Heart in Tulsa or a smaller version of Canton Trade Days in Texas. If it only paid the bills plus a little more for fun, I would be happy to do it the rest of my life. Dream job. Story 38. Figure out the monthly overhead costs, then plan accordingly. Personally, I like the idea of using it as an underground rave venue, but if it's cheap, it would be fun to turn it into a mad scientist lab. Story 39. Same thing we do with the 7,000 square feet now, but more, bigger, and better with fewer arguments and my house staying uncluttered. Laugh out loud. Fill it with junk. Have estate sales and invite people for private purchases. Have more room and better organization for all our collections, antiques, toys, clothes, taxidermy, vintage collectibles, and unusual items we buy. Story 40. Indoor baseball, softball, and golf practice facility. I have actually thought about doing this as a business. Baseball is absolutely exploding in my area, and there are a decent number of venues for practicing, but very few are set up the way I would. 3 cages, 3 pitching lanes, and an infield-sized practice area. 2-lane golf simulator off to the side. You're probably $200,000 to $300,000 into the operation, excluding the facility. You're renting it for $100 per hour for each of the 4 venues, so you can rent pitching lanes, batting, infield, or golf. If you're open for 12 hours on a Saturday, that's $4,800 potential revenue, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. From noon to 7 p.m. on Sunday, that's another $2,800. If you're fully booked, not likely, and only open on weekends, that's nearly $500,000 in 1 year. And that operation is simple enough that one person could probably run it. Check people in, clear the groups, maybe swap from baseball machines to softball. If you only book 50%, you're still nearly breaking even in about a year. If you have a local coach run clinics or lessons there on weeknights, you can rent out for that and clear a lot more quickly. Story 41. Acquire some equipment and start a snack food business. I found that lightly salted dehydrated onions are incredible and addictive. They get sweet and umami, and they are very crispy. These could be a new snack base like potato chips with all kinds of flavorings. After experimenting with randomly dipping in stuff, I found potato chips taste amazing with various East Asian flavors, like soy, mirin, and miso. I would make onion and potato chips with these flavors. I don't think I've seen any of these sold as products, and I think they would succeed. I also want a bunch of different high-quality office and computer accessories. I could see making a business that produces them. I would pay a few hundred for a really nice mouse with a hardwood body and high-precision tracking, and a metal knurled wheel with viscosity for the mouse wheel. Someone also made a nice standalone scroll wheel puck device on YouTube, which looks really nice to use. As far as I know, you can't buy these things. If I want them, probably other people do too, though the economics would likely favor assembling these kinds of products in Asia. There are other, more boring, economically sound things to do with it, but those are the more interesting ideas. Story 42. First, I would lease out very cheap storage space. Then I would take that money and open a combination barbecue and foot massage business. After that, I would capitalize further by taking those earnings and starting a first-of-its-kind combination prepaid legal services and daycare free of molesters. Story 43. Measured out and depending on the distribution networks that fit best on trucking access and broker availability. Overflow warehousing is drying up because companies are returning to just-in-time inventory management. More movement and cash flow. Niche warehousing is hard to pick up but extra lucrative. Who would be your primary customer? Moving what? Story 44. Section off the front half and rent it out. Then divide sections of the rear half for a few multi-story houses for myself, family, and friends. Then use the rest for storage, workshops, and businesses for all of us living there. It would solve many challenges because trying to find a place to rent with at least a garage for a workshop or business is hard on your own. It would seriously increase what I can do with my passions. Story 45. Put chickens in it. Or build a sports center with basketball, soccer and tennis, squash, or pickleball courts. Maybe even an arcade and bowling lanes. Definitely have a bar in it. Story 46. Use it to store stolen goods I got doing missions in my airplane, then sell them off while dodging other people trying to take my goods and sell them. Or make a cocaine lockup.